Are you looking for truth and news all in the spirit of faith? Well, don't forget to click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to stay connected. Not a part of the FlashPoint Army? Sign up for the latest email updates at govictory.com/FP signup and join us as we stand for truth and freedom. Ohio next week, June 8 and 9. Now, I said I would tell you about our next couple guests. Of course, we just added Judge Jeanine Pirro will join us on Friday, but new guest, just confirm, Jim Caviezel and Tim Ballard. Now, Jim Caviezel, obviously, you know from the movie The Passion of the Christ. He's talking about his new film that's based on the life of Tim Ballard, Sound of Freedom. And listen, we were able to see a preview of it last week, but don't back down, and that's what we're going to do. So he will be there along with Tim Ballard, who was with the Department of Homeland Security. So this is a big deal, Rick. We're bringing in these guys to talk about it. I don't know if you had a chance to meet with them or not, but it's a big thing we got.
I'm going to be back, fanboying back there with a selfie and the phone and everything. So senators, president, I don't care about all that, but Tim Ballard, Jim Caviezel, these guys are heroes, man. What he did with Mel Gibson for Passion was incredible. And then this one, to take on with this movie, the human trafficking and things that are happening out there, people need to show up to the FlashPoint event and meet him. You're
going to stay with us Friday all day as well.
Well, you know what I love, Gene, about this show? In this show, I have to wait till the live broadcast to find out who's going to be at the next FlashPoint. And Jim Caviezel, hey, by the way, get him, Gene, make a note, will you? Get him to recite for you.
Oh.
I was in a church with him, and he stood up and he said something so casually. He said, he's a really beautiful man. He said, would you guys like to hear how Jesus prayed? Yeah. He said, I'll give you the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, in the language that he would have spoken.
Wow.
And he proceeded to do the most eloquent and beautiful recitation of the Lord's Prayer, and the anointing just dropped on that church.
Tell me, remember to ask him that. Judge Jeanine Pirro, you've been living under a rock. She debuted her weekend program, Justice with Judge Jeanine, in 2011 on the Fox News Channel. It's another little station, probably somewhere else on your cable. And it remained top-rated program in its time slot for over a decade. She hosts currently the 5 highest-rated program on that network. She resides in New York, along with the 3 poodles. Get this, Lance, Stella, Red, and Ted. All right, Judge Jeanine, welcome to FlashPoint.
Well, I want you to know I'm actually at home, and Stella, Red, and Ted are here, so they may make a cameo.
So I got a lot of questions. We're going to talk about your book in just a second coming out, but I want to know your take on what's happening with the whole fact that they're keeping Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The left is pushing him over to the side. Is the left scared of RFK?
I can't wait to see how the campaign is going to be run this time. They don't have an excuse for the basement campaign, at least so far. But what they've got is they've got a whole crew of emissaries that they say are going to be out there campaigning for Joe. But I don't think America is really buying into that at all. So I think Joe Biden will figure out some way to keep hiding in the basement.
Hey, let me ask you this. When you see the left and what they're doing, now our audience, Judge, is mainly conservative Christians. We don't say we're fair and balanced. We say we're the way to the right of center. We're unabashedly bold about who we are.
When I was a judge in my courtroom above my bench, it said, "In God we trust." I think that America is moving so far from that foundation. Right. That we are at a dangerous point, that every person who is a person of religion or a person of God understands the inherent dangers of what is happening in America. We are flirting with the kind of destiny that destroyed nations and fallen empires find themselves in. And so that's why I wrote the book Crimes Against America. But any of the pro-life centers or the pregnancy centers, any of the attacks on them were not even investigated. But I want to throw one more thing in there, if you don't mind, and that is during the pandemic, there was a Supreme Court case, and the Calvary Church was a petitioner wanting to open its doors in Las Vegas, and the United States Supreme Court finally had the ability to hear that case. Was it something where they knew Dobbs was coming, so they were pulling back? There was absolutely no justification for that. No. And I think that people of faith need to worry about not just what's being taught in schools in terms of transgender nonsense, but what is happening in our society today.
You said one of the first signs of growing criminal privilege in our system, a canary in the coal mine of our failing law and order system, was the concept of cashless bail. Why do you say that's the basis?
Well, look, bail is not something that is uncalled for, illegal, or inappropriate. It's ensconced in the Eighth Amendment to the Constitution. They have decided that cashless bail is the way to go. And essentially what that means is that the criminal is released before the cop finishes his or paperwork. And it endangers a society, in a society where the first order of government is the protection of its people. But it's not just cashless bail where they say everybody gets to go out and as soon as they're arrested, if they're arrested in the first place. But what they're saying is you citizens, you victims, we're not taking your side. We're taking the criminal side. We got to take care of the criminal. And that, along with this social justice, no one has defined, has turned a society that believed in law and order into one of chaos and anarchy. And, I believe in redemption, but I don't think it's for, these leftist, Marxist, socialist lawmakers to say, we're going to forgive all criminals and let them reoffend and reoffend and reoffend again. Because that's what's going on in America today.
Yeah, well said, well said. All right, Lance, you had a question.
That is a real warning shot.
Well, first of all, I appreciate both questions. I want to address the issue of Gorsuch and his concern for religion. It was priests who were being arrested because they were celebrating Mass to parishioners in the parking lot. We can't let people into this country that we don't know who they are, but we say, here's education, medication, housing, whatever you need, go for it. To beat your wife, to drive drunk, an identity thief, a terrorist. Why aren't they waiting in line like everyone else? You've got to at least give them an alien registration number. Go out and play stickball in the street. And let's talk about the fact that where they're talking about transgender in schools. But for everything that's happened, we wouldn't know that the FBI and the DOJ is turning the FBI against parents, saying they're domestic terrorists because they're concerned that their daughter, one in particular, was raped in a bathroom by a boy who identified as a girl that day. The school in Virginia tried to cover it up in Loudoun County. You know what they did with the young man? They sent him to another school where he molested another girl. Right. So you've got a takedown of religion, a takedown of a sovereign nation. You're not allowed to speak unless you do it politically correctly, according to them. And then you're not allowed, if you're the press, to publish an article about Hunter Biden's laptop. The FBI, America is on the verge of, it's on a decline. But instead, everybody gets a trophy for showing up.
I want to show this one clip just recently from Charlie Kirk about being targeted by DHS. Watch.
So it is now official. The Department of Homeland Security. So at the bottom, you have Heritage Foundation, GOP. At the very top, you have outright neo-Nazi organizations. But the second band is really interesting. No, these are then used for reasons to suppress our tweets, to label us as misinformation.
All right, Rick, let me go to you first out of this. You see this now. Of course, Fox News is listed there. So is CBN, a lot of TPUSA, a lot of others are listed in that. I mean, this is just another smoking gun, like Charlie said, of what we're dealing with.
This should, again, well up a sense of justice. I mean, you can hear and feel the sense of justice in her right now. The anger that's there, a righteous anger because of how they're tearing down America. And they have to stop Turning Point and all of these outlets that are actually speaking truth. Otherwise, we're going to stop them. Just like you said, people are waking up and they're looking for answers. They need outlets like this to be able to give those answers. And Turning Point is making such a huge difference in so many areas. They're not just a college program anymore. They're training pastors, they're training churches, they're training candidates. They're involved in the culture war, and they're winning everywhere they go and fight. This is why you've got to get rid of law enforcement at the federal level. It's not constitutional in the first place. Let's get it back to the state and local level. Let's get more judges like Judge Jeanine.
But we know that during the Obama administration, it was Barack Obama and Lois Lerner who decided that they were going to focus on the conservative groups, the 501c3s. So the most important thing people can do is they can look at the school board races, find out who's running for DA. You do not want a George Soros funded DA in your county, because not only will your businesses not prosper, your home's value won't go up and your children won't be safe. All of these local level races are extremely important. And that's why I wrote the book.
You're going to sign a few books there as well. So this guy's that's the whole reason to come to this Flashpoint Live right there. Thank you for being a part of Flashpoint. I don't want to cross you. Your final thoughts here as we begin to wrap this up.
I want to leave a scripture for those of you that might be wondering, what is God going to do? Now will not God bring justice to those who cry not in day? And I believe this is the prophetic moment that we are in, because Isaiah 61:8 says, for I, the Lord, love justice. You need to love justice too. Continue to open your mouth and continue to do something for God and for your country, and watch righteousness and justice be established in our land again.